Hello, Year 10. Welcome back to week 5 of Lessons in Lockdown. I'm going to discuss with you today your assessment task. So follow through with me. The assessment notification is on the hub, but this is just sort of modified version for discussing, and there'll be an opportunity to ask questions at the end. So your first assessment task, what you're going to do is at this point you should have with your teacher, whether it's me or Mrs. Bartlett, you should have started or continued looking at the Holocaust. You should have hopefully finished The Pianist. If not, you'll have to catch up on that at some point. You've started looking at this point at Eisengruppen and the sort of schematic planning of the Holocaust. So what's going to happen now is you're going to take the reins on this research. So there's two parts. The first part is going to ask you to develop a proposal in which you come up with a question that you're interested in or that you want to research. It has to be about the Holocaust. And then you're going to create a thesis in response to that question. So if you don't know what a thesis is, you've got to create an argument or an answer to that question. So this will be submitted to your teacher on the last day of week 7. It says term 1, it should say term 3, my apologies. So you've got 2 weeks and you're going to have to create a question and an accompanying statement or argument. So this was an example from a student last year. So you might come up with a question, compare and contrast to what extent the Jews and disabled people were treated differently throughout the Holocaust. And then this person's thesis pretty much just says that while the Jews were targeted over time, disabled people in Nazi Germany or Nazi occupied countries were targeted pretty much from the beginning. So the time difference was that difference between those two groups of people and how they were treated. So this is pretty much what you would submit for part A of this assignment. Your question, your thesis on a Word document to your teacher. If you struggle to come up with a question or you don't really know what you want to do, we've compiled a list here. It's also available on the assessment criteria sheet that you should have on the hub. But you can choose any of these. You can change them if you wish. There's some ones that are fairly open-ended. But think about what you're interested in. Because if you choose something that you're going to be bored by, you're not going to want to do the next part. So choose something that you'll be interested in researching, that that you might be able to find some information on. So a good question, because we've just watched The Pianist, you might want to do to what extent is the film an accurate portrayal of the Holocaust? So you could also choose another film. You might want to watch Jojo Rabbit or Schindler's List or The Book Thief, or what's the other one? Boy in the Striped Pajamas. So you could choose one of those, or you might just choose a very sort of basic one about Hitler targeting the Jews, or you could go into a lot more depth. It's totally up to you and what you feel you can best answer. So the second part of your assessment, but this isn't due till the end of the term, so do not stress about this yet. So you're going to use the question and your thesis statement to create an essay. So when you do so, you're also going to find 3 sources, and in your essay, refer to them and talk about whether they're useful, what's the historical perspective, and any limitations of that source. So, for example, if you do the question, to what extent was the film The Pianist an accurate portrayal of the Holocaust, you might then choose 3 sources, which might be a film review, journals, or You might find a historian's perspective on the accuracy of the film. So those three things, and you put them in your essay to help you answer the question. Does that make? I hope that makes sense. If not, ask your teacher in a minute, or I'll send them an email or over Zoom. But you don't have to worry about that part just yet. Hopefully we'll be in class and you'll get a scaffold, which will make it easier for you to make the essay. At this point, we're really just worrying about this one. Picking a question, having a argument, thesis statement. So if you have any, I'll finish this part. The maximums for your essay is 1,000 words, but quality, not quantity. I'm sure if you discuss it with your teacher, they will have their own interpretation of that. You may submit one written draft for feedback prior to the submission of the essay. And I'm going to speak for myself and Mrs. Bartlett. Do not send it to us on the day of, because we will say, no, we're not looking at it. Generally, your teacher will tell you a time that you can, up to send your drafts, but don't send it the day that it's due. It won't be checked. So it'll be due on the last lesson of this term, and the notification is on the hub page. So please check that notification, because it will have the assessment criteria, which will show you how to get those top marks. There's also a couple of, apart from that big list of questions, there's a few questions paired with theses and showing you the difference between, a full mark thesis and one that's just a bit lacking in regards to content. So if you have any questions, I'm assuming your teacher will organise a Zoom. You'll be able to ask if you're concerned or send emails either way. Hopefully this has been useful in breaking down the assessment, and looking forward to working with you on this task soon.